Hey y'all, welcome back. So, today we are going to be covering a super fun topic that I'm very invested in, is medical and wellness astrology from the Hellenistic lens, of course. So, welcome back. I hope y'all are doing well. So, what this will be covering overall is like historical correlations between bodily systems, herbalism, and planetary signatures as well. So, it's going to be a long video, so stay tuned, get yourself a snack, a little water. I got mine here, I got my coffee to keep me talking fast a little bit. Why not? I do want to start with by saying that medical and wellness astrology has one of the oldest lineages in the entire tradition of Hellenistic astrology. Um, and we'll get into some of that history today. Uh, it can be very misunderstood and easily misunderstood. There's a lot of misinformation out there back then, just as there is today. And, you know, also looking at it from a Hellenistic and more broader traditional lens, we'll be covering what the ancient astrologers really like, their significations and the archetypes that they gathered about the body and its temperament, and certain crisis periods or planetary significations, and then I'll tie that into like modern health, some of the things that we're seeing, biohacking culture. Even I did a video on it about hack your cosmological DNA, so I might call myself out as well. It's all a part of the learning process. So, um, yeah, mental health, personalized medicine, holistic health as well. Um, so, and I really was just super interested in it because I'm a med student, um, and I feel like in modern pop astrology, modern audiences often associate medical astrology with Chiron, which I don't blame them. Chiron is a huge factor for me in understanding my chart. So I'll also talk about how Chiron fits into the combo, without replacing some of the core traditional methods. Because Chiron wasn't really, I mean, like, its mythology is Hellenistic, but the actual planet wasn't discovered until like 1977. So it's been a minute. I do want to make a disclaimer that this is for educational purposes only and spiritual reflection. It is not for diagnosing, treating, or delaying medical care. Um, yeah, go see a doctor. Go see a holistic health provider. Go see an acupuncturist. Okay, a doctorate of acupuncture. So let's start with what medical astrology means from a Hellenistic lens. So, in the Hellenistic period, astrology wasn't divided into medical astrology versus regular astrology. The body, vitality, illness, they were already embedded into certain techniques like the rising sign and its ruler for the body and vitality, the lot of fortune for its ruler and bodily circumstances, the houses associated with illness and injury, like the sixth house or the 12th house, sect and temperament, planetary condition to understand susceptibility and resilience, and also timing techniques to identify when things peak. So the language they use is not modern medical language. It's more symbolic and philosophical medicine rooted in elements, certain humors, natural philosophy, things like that. So the goal isn't like Saturn causes diseases, it's Saturn describes patterns of coldness, dryness, constriction, depletion, chronicity, and the delay as well. So those are the patterns that show up psychologically, socially, and physically. And some key authors and lineages that solidified this theory was Hippocrates in the medical tradition. He wasn't an astrologer, but the Hippocratic framework of humors and observation, it really sits behind this cultural logic of hot, cold, wet, dry that later astrologers will harmonize a bit more into their workings. A more well known name in the space of Hellenistic astrology is Claudius Ptolemy. So in the 2nd century CE, Tetrabiblos is Ptolemy explicitly treats bodily constitution, heredity, climate, and planetary qualities, even when later traditional astrologers disagreed with him. It is still used as a reference point. So another one is Dorotheus of Sidon, 1st century CE. In the Carmen Astrologicum, Dorotheus is foundational for that practical delineation, includes bodily concerns and life topics as well. And Vedius Valens, 2nd century CE, anthologies. Valens is intensely practical and includes many observations about misfortune, bodily afflictions, and timing. Galen, medical tradition, again, not an astrologer, but Galenic humoral medicine became a bridge between ancient medicine and medieval Renaissance in the astrological medicine. And Paulus Alexandrinus in the 4th century CE, who was a key summary author whose work influenced later traditions. And those later traditions would be transmitters of this work into our now modern day tradition as well. And they preserved and elaborated those medical correspondences. Those people are astrologers, mashallah, don't even try me because I will literally butcher this, but Sal ibn Bishir, and then Abu Mashar, and that medieval Islamic period, and then also the Latin Renaissance with Guido Bonatti. Clearly I'm English because it's only the Romance languages that I can pronounce. God bless. So if you study medical astrology today, which I do, most of the body part rulerships and planetary qualities are a blend of this classical medical worldview along with that technique. So let's get into some of the body maps, signs, planets and houses. What does this really boil down to? Because I know that's the fun part, honestly. All the archetypes, I have so much fun with that. So one of the best known medical correspondences is kind of like the zodiac man, quote unquote, that concept. So signs associated with body regions. So a more simple traditional version would be Aries is the head and face, Taurus is the neck and throat, Gemini is the shoulders, arms, lungs often, even the nervous system as well. Cancer is the chest and stomach, Leo is the heart and the spine, Virgo rules the intestines and digestion, Libra is the kidneys, balance, skin, and certain lineages. Scorpio is the reproductive organs, elimination. Sagittarius is the hips and thighs. Capricorn is the knees and bones. Aquarius is the calves, circulation, and ankles. Pisces is the feet, which is funny considering Aquarius is like the water bearer. And when I think of circulation, I think of lymph, which is literally like a fluid bearer in the body that is responsible for bearing those, certain, just toxins, metals, anything that it regulates and and pushes out through those areas where the lymph is. You know, the hips, the armpits, here where you'll sweat a bit more, and your neck as well. And then Pisces, people might know this already. I don't know why Pisces in the feet is talked about so much, but funnily enough, it's the sign after. Funnily enough, I'm mentioning this lymph node. Pisces is the lymph and fluid. So, yeah. Texts will vary, and different authors systematize this more than early, like later medieval authors systemize this more than early Hellenistic authors, but the principle is that in Hellenistic period, the zodiac describes the body as a microcosm. So, planets and qualities as processes, not just organs. Again, looking at it from that holistic lens, that holistic view is important because they're all working together. It's all a system. So, from the Hellenistic lens, the planets are not simply the liver or the lungs, they're qualities and processes. The medicine that I study is traditional Chinese medicine. It's very much the same. They have qualities and processes, and they're all working together. Likely, if one is affected, it's not long before another is affected, and vice versa. So from that Hellenistic lens, you have the planetary significations of the sun being vitality, heart, the fire of life, coherence, and purpose. The moon is fluid, cycles, appetite, sleep, memory, the body's responsiveness. Usually when the moon is up, we're sleeping, where our cells are regenerating. We're going through those REM cycles, hopefully. This allows the body to respond better. The moon, it kind of helps like contain the fluids. If there's incontinence at night, look at the moon. If there's incontinence at night, look at the urinary bladder. Look at the kidneys as well. So Mercury rules the nerves, like I mentioned before. I know Gemini is like Virgo and Gemini Mercury, but it is also good to look at it from that planetary lens as well. But yeah, Mercury would be the nerves, signaling, breath, cognition, adaptability, very mental as well. Those brain signals as well are signals from the nerves sent to the brain, vice versa. Venus would be harmony, pleasure, repair through connection, sweetness, fertility. Mars would be inflammation, fever, cuts, acute events, speed, immune attack. Like if you like sprained your ankle or something, that would be like a Mars thing for sure. Jupiter would be growth, nourishment, resilience, recovery, good humors. Saturn would be chronic issues, depletion, cold, dry patterns, restriction, bones, and teeth. So when a planet is strong and well supported, its function is coherent. And when it's compromised by condition, sect issues, malefic or benefic testimony or timing, its function can show up as excess, deficiency, or misdirection. So the big three anchors, ascendant, fortune, and the sixth house. So this is going to be like a nice, like traditional framework that keeps things a bit, method based instead of going so woo woo. the ascendant and its ruler is like the constitution. So when you look at the rising sign, you look at the ruler, you look at its condition, you ask, is the ruler in a place of strength or weakness? Is it supported by benefics? Is it damaged by malefics? Is it configured to the luminaries? I would say even if there's, it could be supported by malefics or damaged by malefics. Like if you had Mars in Aries in the first house, or if you had Mars in Gemini, I have Mars in Gemini in the first house. Certain things can show up that are negative, but I think Mars and Gemini in the first house is what gave me a fit body growing up. Like I was always in a sport, always in a sport. So I think that it can be supported by malefics, and Gemini is considered that. Mercury is considered that. Yes, and then it's configured to the luminaries, the sun, the moon. So that's kind of like a more constitutional baseline of what the body tends to do under stress. The lot of fortune would be bodily circumstance. From the Hellenistic practice, like I mentioned in a previous video, the lot of fortune is the key indicator of bodily life conditions and the happenings of the body. So the fortune's ruler and its transits slash perfections are often, very descriptive. And then you have the sixth house, like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of this video, having to do with significations of how illness, toil, or imbalance can show up in the native's chart or life. So these are conditions that we may commonly know as reducing vitality. It's not like a fated, this is what is the rest of your life. And that's kind of what I was getting at in my Hack Your Cosmological DNA video. I was like, even though that's your birth chart, like you still have annual perfections. Like you're supposed to be working with your birth chart. It's not just set in stone. Same with life. Like don't just let life happen to you. You're supposed to kind of grab life by the balls and work with what you've got to get the best outcome. So that's why I'm like, you're just supposed to see where the body is burdened. You're just supposed to see where the mind, your finances, career, family life, home may potentially be burdened, so that you can work with it and take accountability. So timing techniques, like I mentioned before, annual perfections, zodiacal releasing, depending on your lineage, and transits can show when the sixth house themes are emphasized. And traditional astrology is definitely one of the strongest for pattern recognition and timing. It's not a replacement. Like I mentioned before, this is not medical advice. This is not a replacement for getting that lab work done. I'm getting lab work done next week. So even if you don't have insurance, honey, go to Function, go to Joy Wellness, get those answers. A lot of us don't know what's going on internally, and all it takes is those answers. All it takes is going and this information is out there for free on YouTube by doctors and free biology courses from Harvard on Coursera and stuff. I'm like, y'all, there's no excuse. Go out there and learn, because that knowledge is also going to add on to the knowledge of medical astrology. It's going to add on to the knowledge of the results of the lab work or the imaging. And it makes taking accountability and the ability to responsibility to your life, a lot less fear, a lot less resentment, a lot less anger. You're just going to go out and do it. So it can be accurate nonetheless using astrology, and describing the body is like, yeah, it can be very accurate. I want to talk a little bit about herbalism because I love herbalism. I don't know if it's my Virgo moon or not in the fourth house, but I love herbalism. I love it. I feel like I have a little, just as a little sharing, just as a little sharing is caring moment. This was my project for school, and I had to do a meridian map, and I was like, you know what, let's make it fun. I like to draw. I don't know if you will even be able to see this, but this is just a map of the body, but the herbs that support it and what it does. Plant medicine is like the oldest medicine. A lot of the like prescription market drugs that we have today, a lot of them have plant material in them. I think people don't know that. Like, just because it's made in a lab doesn't mean they didn't get the materials from somewhere outside. So let's talk a little bit about herbalism and its planetary signatures, historical correlations, what exists, what to be a little bit wary of. This is We'll be a little bit careful about which historical stream we're talking about. So I think what can be said more confidently is that traditional medicine in antiquity and the medieval period is structured around qualities, so hot, cold, wet, dry, and the humors. Astrology provides a symbolic language for those qualities via planets and signs. And then later, in early modern Europe, herbalists and physicians developed elaborate correspondences between planets and signs, or plants and planets. So, the key concept is like qualities as a bridge. Mars corresponds to hot, dry, and sharpness, often linked to pungent, stimulating, or cutting actions. Saturn corresponds to cold, dry, and heaviness, often linked to astringent, constricting, or depleting actions, which would probably be like dampness in traditional Chinese medicine, heaviness. Jupiter would correspond to warm, moist, and expansion, often linked to tonics, nourishment, restoration. Moon and Venus correspond to moisture, softening, fertility, often linked to soothing, moistening, connective actions. And you can start to see in some of these significations how the planets are already working together to either support or deplete what is already there. So even if you don't take every correspondence literally, it's like the logic, like the quality logic that helps you think in those patterns. So where planetary signatures show up historically, um, it is the best known signature that I've found so far is the one associated, the tradition associated with later authors like Paracelsus, which was during the Renaissance, early modern period, who argued that nature marks remedies with signs. While Paracelsus is not Hellenistic, their influence heavily shaped later astrological herbalism. So, for a Hellenistic purist approach, the astrological constitution and timing is the primary, and the herbal correspondences are a layer that can be used a bit more thoughtfully. So, Ptolemy, Tetrabiblos constitution, Vedius Valens, anthologies, timing and afflictions, Dorotheus, Carmen, practical delineation, Paracelsus, signatures and later tradition. and modern medical astrology authors. We're going to talk about it right now. So, in the modern age, some medical shifts that echo Hellenistic significations, um, it, they're gonna, I'm not gonna claim that planets cause trends. I'll just show how symbolic resonance in how that ties into the traditional meanings and how that can help us interpret what people are living through, especially on a collective level, for sure. So nervous system strain and information overload is Mercury. Boy, do I know a thing or two about that. I've got so many Mercury placements. I definitely have been trying to balance, especially being in, am I in a 12th house year? I think I'm in a first house year actually. So a lot of my Gemini placements are being activated. Um, so navigating this constant connectivity, being more intertwined with my community and what I in the service that I'm providing. AI driven work shifts for sure, attention fragmentation, and stress related dysregulation, as you have like the nervous system, parasympathetic and sympathetic, and also like the somatic as well, kind of tying into that, especially because the next sign is Cancer after Gemini. So it really is holistic and looking at it as that full 12th house, 12 sign view. And so the traditional Mercury themes that's signaling the nerves, the movement, exchange, um, very mental, psychological. They map super well to the modern conversations about nervous system overstimulation and the need for rhythm. Um, just like take a break from the phones, put it on do not disturb. You know, there's like, unless you're gonna become a monk or something and like move out of the modern world, then I don't really see how you would not be attached to technology. That's not what I'm saying here. A lot of the time, from what I'm doing, is just making sure that those boundaries are in place. We're protecting the sleep. Like I said, moon is the sleep. It's regulation. It's restoration. I have been lacking on that, and I can see that my adrenals are paying for it. My Jing essence that can't be replaced. Jing essence is tied to the kidneys. The kidneys and the adrenals are connected. I can see it in my under eyes, a little bit puffier and darker as well. Um, I've also been having coffee, so for women especially, that can um, uh, and I do it anyways. This is why I say, like, you need to, this does not replace medical advice. This is purely for educational purposes. My own life is also for educational purposes, so I don't even heed my own warnings. It's so freeing as well when you accept yourself in all your contradictions. It makes it that much more easier to go out there and seek the information and make the change too, because that's the first step, is the awareness as well. Like, okay, I know I do this, and I know I should stop doing this soon. All right, let's cut it off. That kind of energy. um let's talk about Saturn next. I mentioned before, chronic issues, scarcity, structural stress as well, um, which is definitely showing up as well, especially post um, pandemic, that long COVID recovery, the arcs of that, chronic pain, chronic inflammation, burnout, resource constraints. So Saturn's traditional language is that cold, dry, chronicity, restriction, depletion. It's more of an archetypal mirror for what long haul conditions feel like. So, next would be inflammation, immune activation, acute flare ups associated with Mars. So, that Mars symbolism is definitely present as well. I mentioned the inflammation, but dryness can also lead to inflammation as well. So, Saturn, I would say that that's definitely a part of it as well. Um, is your body nourished? Are you drinking enough water? Um, yeah, especially during the summertime where things are really hot and the sun is just taking all of that moisture out of you. So, Mars symbolism is definitely relevant, especially during this time. August just started. I'm in SoCal, and it's been a bit of a cooler week, but we've had like a month straight of 90-degree days. So, um, we're discussing, with Mars here, there's acute episodes, like I mentioned, injuries, sprains, broken, things getting broken, uh, even fights that lead to these things, and talking or even arguments, like getting the heart pumping and flaring up that feverish state, um, aggressive interventions, like I mentioned, fights, arguments, um, surgeries as well. So next would be Jupiter and Venus, wellness culture, longevity, and restoration. It's not always nice. Listen, it's not always nice with Jupiter and Venus, because when I think of Jupiter, I do think of abundance and definitely that wellness and healing and restoration and working with those planets. But another thing that comes to mind, because I have Jupiter in Cancer, I can be extremely gluttonous. I'm also a Taurus as well. I can be extremely gluttonous with sugar, with yummy food, with things that would send me into that more like just like pleasurable state. Like my endocannabinoid system just did not get a break growing up. And I'm paying for it now. It's shown up. Like chronic issues and illnesses sometimes take over a decade to develop. Certain things like diabetes or something like that, diabetes 1 or 2. Those issues are taking several years to develop. That is a chronic illness. It doesn't just happen, because if all goes well, your organs are supporting you through that. So things in this culture, wellness culture, oh my God, again, it ties so well into the information overload and what's right, what's wrong. That's why you go see a provider and you do the research yourself, and you see Western medicine providers, holistic medicine providers. When I say you, I mean I see medical Western practitioners and holistic medical practitioners, and I do research myself and I apply it. Application. That's how I'm coming up with all of this biohacking, supplements, peptide convert. This is all the stuff that's in wellness culture. I'm sure y'all see it. The biohacking, the supplements, the peptide conversations, hormone optimization, community centered healing. It's everywhere. And honestly, I kind of love it. It's not good, bad, right, or wrong. It just is. There's trade-offs with everything, and always remember that you have the choice, you have the power. Yeah, you could go down to your local library and this information's at your fingertips. You don't even have to go to the library, honey. You just got to look it up. You could ask somebody on the street, I need to look up, don't do that, but I need to look this up. So yeah, I mean, it's everywhere. I personally like it. I like that people are becoming more aware and are healing themselves and are taking the power back, because knowledge is power. Put it where they can't take it from you, because the medical system, no matter if it's holistic or medical, they're very much businesses. So even if they're telling you something, this is why gathering the information and then applying it and knowing yourself is very important. Very important. And astrology can help with that for sure. It can be very accurate. Not to diagnose, but to like keep yourself aligned and on the right path. Going to those goals, those annual perfections as well, will play a big role. So Jupiter and Venus themes would be nourishment, restoration, pleasure, coherence through connection, um, with your community, whether it be sex, whether it be connecting with yourself and restoring yourself. Sleep. I sleep. When I get a good sleep, I am connected with spirit, honey. I am connected with spirit. When I don't have as good a sleep, I get headaches. There's a little bit of dryness, maybe a little bit more sluggishness. So that's my goal this week, is to get back on my 7 to 8 hour vibe. I've been on a more like a 5 hour vibe. So that's not ideal. Um, so I know that the intervention that's going to feel supportive would be get more sleep. It's not that I feel tired, that I don't feel tired around 9 or 10 when I typically go to bed to get that much sleep, because I wake up at 5, like 5:30. So, that herbal support, I take valerian, or not often, but when I feel like I need a little extra support, a little extra nudge, because sometimes before night I'm like doing my routine. It's still a wind down routine, but you're still moving, your brain's kind of thinking a little bit. Like, I really just want to, valerian just helps like really shut it down, and it kind of, for me, it kind of gets me to that point of we're falling asleep. Eyes are closing, boom, you're done. And the Jupiter and Venus themes also, like I mentioned before, it describes when and why certain things feel supportive while others become obsession or excess, like I mentioned before with the gluttony with my Taurus sun and Jupiter in Cancer. So, speaking of Cancer, the moon, this would be, some of the significations would be cycles, hormones, sleep, and emotional somatics. Somatic meaning body. So the moon cycles are very powerful. And if you tap into that energy willingly or unwillingly, knowingly or unknowingly, they can be a very symbolic mirror for sleep rhythms, appetite, hydration, in the way emotions show up in the body. So, sleep rhythms. I gotta get back on my sleep rhythm. So, as I'm talking through this, as I'm doing all of this stuff, notice that the traditional significations are used as a language, not as a medical verdict, not to diagnose, but as a language to tell a story. The body tells a story. The birth chart tells a story. Annual perfection charts tell a story. It's not and a lot of the time stories are symbolic of something deeper, and using it as a medical verdict would be a grave misrepresentation of not just your life, but also these ancient practices of medicine and astrology. Yeah. So let's talk about Chiron for a little bit, because I love Chiron, and I'm going to be doing a more deep dive video based off of Barbara Hand Clow's book, Chiron, that she released in 87, I want to say, 85. Super good book. Super good book. Like I love that book. I love that book. I honestly there I know that there's a I know that there's an audiobook out there already, but I want to read it for you guys just so that you can have this transmission of how passionate I am about it because I love Chiron. I love Chiron so much. Um, so let's talk about why Chiron matters and how to use it without losing the tradition. Because, like I mentioned, it's a more modern addition to astrology. It was discovered in 1977, so it's not a part of Hellenistic astrology, but it is a part of Hellenistic mythology. Because it has that connection with being the teacher of Sagittarius. Chiron is also a half man, half human, and he's seen as like the top teacher of all the centaurs in that mythological tradition. So Chiron symbolizes in medical astrology, it's the wound that teaches. Um, the the chronic sensitivity that develops into wisdom, mentorship, like teaching, holistic integration, and the process of making meaning from suffering. So, how you can, and when I do a video on Chiron, this will make more sense of why you see certain themes, the story of Chiron, of that mentorship and holistic integration. So, use Chiron as like a secondary indicator would be, maybe a little inkling of advice that I would give because um, the anchor in your chart analysis, like I mentioned before, the ascendant, the ruler of it, the fortune ruler of it, and the sixth house ruler of it, and the luminaries, sun and moon. Then look at Chiron for those more narrative themes where the healing works becomes identity, where people become helpers, where a repeating vulnerability becomes a calling. Because boy, has that been me for sure. I would paying attention to Chiron's aspects to luminaries, the sun and moon, and the ascendant ruler as well. So, Chiron in the sun would be wounds around vitality, confidence, visibility, healing through purpose. Chiron in the moon would be memory, body memory, emotional somatics, attachment, and safety. Chiron and the ascendant ruler, embodied identity, health becomes a life story. And then tying Chiron to the 6th and 12th house axis very carefully, which I think Barbara Handclough covers a bit in her book as well, Chiron, the rainbow bridge between something and something. So many modern astrologers place Chiron themes on the illness healing axis. It can be meaningful, but it, of course, always for most things, things are so nuanced in life, but things are too nuanced to keep things surface level, I'll say. So avoid the deterministic language and use it more so as where is the person learning a new relationship to the body. And Chiron in modern medicine is it can symbolize that integrative approaches, bridging conventional care with lifestyle, trauma-informed practices, trauma-informed therapists, trauma-informed death doulas, trauma-informed birth doulas, trauma-informed doctors and holistic care practitioners, massage therapists, you name it, somatic therapies, massage therapy, acupressure, acupuncture, dance, singing, vibration. I could go on. And community support as well, of course, the bridge, the archetype. Absolutely. Chiron is community. There is no Chiron without community because Chiron is, like I mentioned in this mythology, the teacher of all the centaurs. Or even if you've watched Percy Jackson, has anybody watched Percy Jackson? I don't know where I was. I don't know where I was. And maybe I watched it on Netflix or something. I think that's where I watched it recently, and I was like, I forgot how fun this movie is, like seeing all the mythology. I love it. Um, so yeah, that bridge archetype sure, for sure. And also just like the 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 making of the centaur. I could like talk about mythology for forever. It's so fun. Because Chiron is built like the bridge. It's the bridge between animus and animal and man. The horse and the man body, in the human body. It's the bridge. Um, how do those significations of those two bridge together? Because that's how we humans developed. We developed from animals. We are still animals. Homo sapiens. That is the scientific term of our animal uh, species. So using Chiron as that bridge, that mentor, and to yourself, first and foremost, to yourself, teach yourself. Don't just spew this information out. This is why I took a break, because I'm like, I need to embody more information. I need to really get to know myself and see how I'm really applying this before I come and I speak about this, because it's just, and I'll be upfront always. I'm young, child. I'm still learning. Like, we have to remind ourselves and ground ourselves back to that, because it's just it's not a replacement for embodied disembodied teaching. You can tell, and you'll even tell with me. You'll tell when my teaching is disembodied, for sure. But yeah, these, like I said, Chiron is still very modern. It's not a replacement for a Hellenistic technique. It's just something that you can kind of weave into it and add on to it, because like I mentioned in one of the videos the other day, eventually somebody is going to be looking super far back onto the time that we were in and seeing Chiron as the traditional technique and how we're applying it now. So it's really cool, kind of like history, living history. Um, so if you want a grounded way to explore medical astrology traditionally, here's like a little framework. Um, you have the constitution of it, which would be the ascendant and the ruler of it, and also the condition of it. The bodily circumstances would be the lot of fortune and the ruler and its condition. The illness load, look at 6th house. Look at 12th house. Its rulers, any malefic testimonies. Vitality, look at the sun and moon condition. Look at the sect, is it day or night chart? Um, and and support from the benefics as well, or degradation from the malefics. Timing, perfections and other timing methods, annual perfections, electional astrology, seeing out into the future, to see when the body is more sensitive or more supported. And if you want that modern layer, like I said, weave in Chiron. You've got a lot to work with there. That is yummy. Like, Chiron is, don't sleep on it. It's so good. Um, you have that wounded healer narrative in those integration themes, for sure. So I will definitely be talking more about Chiron, but especially these traditional anchors. Um, yeah, thank you for being here. As always, like and subscribe. Drop a comment of which planet's health symbolism do you resonate with most? Mars, Saturn, Mercury, the moon, Venus, or Jupiter? Let me know what place it's in your chart, your house. That's always fun to look at and chat about. And also, if you want a little bit more information on how you can work with me personally, you can go to my link in bio and book an appointment with me to look at your chart, whether it be from the medical view, or we can just talk about other stuff if you want to chat about anything, anything. And definitely look into some of those traditional astrologers. They've got a lot more significations on um, uh, like the basis and the foundation of a lot of the information that you're seeing today. And then the helpful modern authors, my people, from the Hellenistic and traditional revival, like spearheaded this, Demetra George, more so from like the 80s, which honestly, during that time, like I really only trust certain um, occult books from that time anyways, because this just starts to get a little warped afterwards. And then Chris Brennan was and is my teacher, and he delves super deep into Hellenistic history and techniques as well. Yes. A couple of notes on the herbalism and signatures. Planetary herbalism correspondences are often more medieval, Renaissance, early modern than strictly Hellenistic. Um, all of that. So if you're going to explore herbs or supplements, cross check those interactions and contraindications with a qualified professional. Astrology can support reflection, but it should not be used to self prescribe. Thank you so much for being here. Bless you all. Stay well, stay healthy, and I will see you guys in the next one.